Welcome to Indigenous Languages Action Forum Conversations. And today we have some exciting news. We have a brand new vice chair and a brand new chair of ILAF. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but Dr. Zakeera Docrat has been our vice chair, and you've seen her face quite often. So thank you to our brand new chair of ILAF, who's taking over from Professor Monwabisi Kgalakgala, who is now the patron of ILAF. So I just want to know, Dr. Zakeera Docrat, what is your fear about, what do you normally fear in the space where people look at you and they say, Indigenous Languages Action Forum, what chair? How does she fit in the Indigenous Languages Action Forum space? How do you respond to that since you're a second language speaker?
Oh, thank you, Siki. I think it's a very good question, and it has to be addressed. Like, race is always an issue. It's something in South Africa that we can't get past, and given our historical past, obviously, it's a major problem. But, being a second language speaker, I think, and being the chair of the Indigenous Languages Action Forum speaks to the notion of transformation at its very best. This is transformation as far as I'm concerned. It means that I, as a second language speaker, have embraced, isiXhosa, which I speak, and it's the language of my province. It's part of my identity and who I am. I've been very fortunate to have grown up speaking the language and have had good access to it from schooling right through into university and so forth. So yes, it might be an issue to say, look, I'm Indian and isiXhosa is a second language, but I don't think that detracts from my passion, my dedication to the promotion of the Indigenous languages. And anybody who knows me, Siki, anybody who's familiar with my work and my activism, in a sense, will know that I'm wholly and utterly dedicated to the promotion of all the African languages in South Africa, and want to see the equal use and promotion of these languages alongside English in our various spaces. So I am a language activist. I am a second language isiXhosa speaker, but most importantly, I'm a South African. And isiXhosa, as with the other Indigenous languages, is part of who we are. I'm a South African, and I don't think that in this situation race should become an issue. It might be a sore point for many people, but I'd like to say to everybody who may be doubting me at this stage, judge me based on my actions, judge me based on my performance at ILAF as the new chair in 5 years' time.
And would you advocate for more people who are not Indigenous, culturally rooted people or born people to participate in Indigenous languages?
Definitely. I mean, without a doubt, I'm always encouraging, second language speakers to encourage their kids to learn an African language at school. So, I mean, yes, that's it. Because, we can't expect Indigenous language speakers to speak English when we don't want to learn the Indigenous languages in the country in which we're born. I don't think that really makes you a South African, a true South African, if you can't speak an Indigenous language, or you're not willing to try to speak one, or encourage your child to speak a language. So yes, and I'd like to see many second language speakers joining ILAF as members who are committed to the promotion of our languages and the development of these languages. I'd like to see that as part of the membership growth. And I think that would be a real encouragement for many other people in South Africa to join the organization.
Okay, that's great. So thank you so much for that comment, because I'm sure a lot of people are asking, who are you and why Indigenous languages? So I mean, it is important because a lot of people just simply feel they don't need to make an effort, while everyone has to learn English and maybe Afrikaans.
That's true.
But no one is making, or it appears nobody's making an effort, and we still don't have Indigenous language education. I know in our previous conversation, you were decrying the fact that these political debates are hosted in universities and none of the students or participants, as well as the panelists, politicians, none of them are communicating the issues of this country and politics in indigenous languages. And so I was thinking it's because even in universities, they're not learning political science with using an indigenous language. They're not learning accounting using the indigenous languages. They are taught in English. They learn in English terms, and so when it's time to translate what they understand or communicate, they can only draw on on English because those are the only new terms that they know. And so part of our work is to encourage people to do the hard work, because this is the hard work that's really being done. It's people taking it upon themselves to ensure that indigenous languages are not excluded in development of any nature, including AI, which is now new.
It's true.
And we need AI in indigenous languages. And we also have a brand new vice chair who hails all the way from the University of Limpopo, and that's Abram Mashatole. Did I say that correctly? Mashatole. So that's Zakeera Docrat and Abram. So I'll take it over to you, and I'd like you to welcome your brand new vice chair into this conversation, and if Abram could quickly say a few words. And if I'm not mistaken, you are currently studying your PhD, but it's also been a huge part of some of our conversation about multilingualism, multilingual education, and he himself graduated from a multilingual degree, and so he's a pioneer and is way ahead in teaching it and practicing while people are still thinking, is it possible? He's a graduate and he's a lecturer. So please take it away. Let's start with the vice chair. How do you feel about your new role? I know you're not even a day old.
Thank you, Siki. It's quite a special moment. We're stepping into the foot of real giant, and Professor Khalakhala has truly been a giant. He has championed the cause of ILAF, and you can not do anything but wonder how can we really expand on the massive impacts that he has had on the ILAF community. Yeah, but I come in as a young person who's willing to learn, and I think more than anything, there has been a strong community, and I would like to appreciate ILAF, in terms of what he has been able to do, which is to consolidate a very good team of people, academics and non-academics, and people in the non-government space who are doing really transformative and impactful work in and around African languages or indigenous languages. So more than anything, our responsibility is to really consolidate the gains that we have made, and perhaps find innovative and very creative ways of championing multilingualism and indigenous languages.
Yeah, this is really great. It's great to have a young leadership team, because ILAF is mostly, most of the people are between the ages of 24 and 35, that are like most people that follow ILAF, which is really exciting because it really speaks to the future, that indigenous languages, that's the future. So that's really exciting. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for everything that you are stepping into, and we believe you're going to be doing some great things in partnership with your chair, who once filled your role as well, and from time to time we'll call you to come and share something. I know we've had a lot of conversations with Zakeera here on this platform. So we're looking forward to having you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
So
it's our
Zakeera?
wish. Thank you for ILAF to be successful and to support Zakeera and all people who are involved in ILAF. Thank you.
Yeah, to a new era. Come on. Okay, Zakeera, do you want to say a few words since you once filled the spot?
Thank you, Siki. I'd like to welcome our Vice Chair, extend a very warm welcome to him. He's not new to ILAF as the organization, so he knows very well the importance and our responsibility, really. It's all very well to say we're the chair and the vice chair, and I think he'll agree with me on this point. But the two of us, together with the steering committee, have a responsibility to really take ILAF forward as an organization. But I think more importantly, our role and our task is just to promote the Indigenous languages and find those spaces, as he suggests, to use our languages, not only in communities, but in research practice and so forth. And I think, having an academic team like this continue and lead the way, young academics like ourselves, I think it's something to look forward to. I know that many colleagues within ILAF are doing exceptional work, and as chair and vice chair, we're going to tap into that. We're going to build on what's being produced already. Siki, for me, it's not about throwing everything out and starting afresh. It's about taking stock of what we've done so far, what we are currently doing, and how we see that as part of our future. I think we need to take stock of what we've produced as members of ILAF, what we are currently producing, and how we see that as part of our future map for the organization and for our Indigenous languages. I think that would be our primary focus and goal for the moment. And then obviously to expand the organization beyond what we currently have, our membership base and so forth, and to bring new and exciting members in with new ideas, fresh and innovative. And, Siki, you've touched on the point of youth and, Vice Chair and I both being young. I think this is something we want to really do and use to our advantage to attract young members, and especially from our own student base and their various communities. So I look forward to what's to come, and I wish the Vice Chair all the best in the role. I've been sitting in that seat for a very long time. So let me say strength to you, but we're a team. And I think that's what's the most important thing. And we've got a great steering committee that supports us, as well as our facilitator and our communications officer. So I can only say that it's upwards from here. We're moving forward together. It's great things to come. I can't think of any synonyms or adjectives to describe what's to come next. All I can say is watch the space.
Yeah, I see both of you are ready to go. So we're looking forward to the expansion of ILAF, and hopefully we'll have offices and more employees and expand.
You never know.
All right. Thank you so much, Abram. No, I dream big.
That's the right idea. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
People really believe we've got offices. I can't believe I'm by myself here. So thank you so much for joining us. So now we are going to continue with the conversation. So thank you so much, Abram. We'll have our conversation once you've soaked yourself in the position. We just wanted you to warm up your seat as a vice chair. And now I'm going to have a conversation with the chair, who's been sitting in that position and are very excited about what's possible as a chair. So thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate your time as we hijacked you.
Thank you, colleagues. All the best.
So thank you for your availability.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right. So please tell us your goals and your plans as the new chair.
I think, for me to start, the primary focus for me is how do we expand ILAF? That is the primary thing. And when I talk about expanding ILAF, I talk about our membership base. We need to review who our current members are, which type of member we want to attract. Look, we are an organization of activists, but many of us, and speaking for myself as well, are academics. And I know a lot of us say that we are both academics and we are activists. We need to expand our membership base. And by expansion, I'm not talking about the ordinary academic who's also an activist. I'm talking about us going into the communities and finding these people who are actually promoting the use of the indigenous languages. We see this with the San communities, with the Khoi communities, elders doing this in their communities, and there's many examples that we're just not aware of. And I think that once we start having various workshops and seminars and actually reaching out to the South African communities that we're actually working towards improving their lives, I think once they are in touch with us and we can hear what their issues are, it will become a mutual relationship and beneficial program, really, between us as the researchers and academics within ILAF and them as the communities. That would be the first thing, so expansion of ILAF and their membership base. The second thing is we need to make ILAF global. And when I say ILAF global, we are doing important work. And I feel that it needs to go beyond just the national stage. And you have to take a lot of credit for growing ILAF as a communications partner for many other big organizations and events. I know that. But at other conferences, at other events on the world global stage, this is where ILAF needs to be. And I think if we can move forward as one unit and see ourselves as the representatives of ILAF when we go to these conferences, when we go to these meetings, it would be a fantastic opportunity. And not for publicity purposes, Siki, but for the purposes of promoting our indigenous languages. For me, that's the core thing. I mean, we mustn't lose sight of what is our goal and what is our purpose. And yesterday, when you asked me for my bio, I was looking at it and I thought, okay, it's talking more about forensic linguistics and legal linguistics. And yes, I'm a forensic linguist, I'm a legal linguist, but my heart lies with the African languages. It always has, it always will. And for many of us, although I'm not solely based in the African languages anymore, neither is my research primarily based, but I'm an African languages scholar. I always will be. And I think that should be at the heart of everything we do. And, when we talk about the promotion of the indigenous languages or the African languages or whatever you want to term it, but it's a collective, it's an ownership that we need to own. I'm not talking about somebody else's language when I speak about isiXhosa. Yes, it's not my mother tongue. But it's a language as part of who I am, really. It's part of my fabric, it's part of my identity and my makeup. So this is why I keep on saying, promoting our indigenous languages, because I see the languages as belonging to all of us as a collective. And this is what I talk about, moving ILAF forward as a unit, as a collective. And I think, colleagues within the organization need to understand that you're not just promoting your own language, your own mother tongue or your second language, but you're promoting all the indigenous languages that we talk about under the ILAF banner.
Yeah, I think important angle, you see it beyond the fact that, this is my tradition, this is my culture, but as a language that can be used by everyone, just like English or French or Spanish. Any of those languages that are spoken and used by so many people. And I think that would be quite a mind-blowing idea where people start seeing, because, as we saw with this Xhosa being used at during Black Panther, the movie, and it going international, and, we're seeing it with Trevor making a private joke that can only be understood by South Africans on a global stage. But that's still putting out our languages out there. And one of the things that I usually say, with the work that I do, I've been able to connect. And I've had, people from Canada reaching out to me who work with indigenous languages. So we are already international, people internationally are already interested in the work that we're doing. And we have organizations around Africa that are looking at what we're doing. We have, the former professor of Harvard, of Howard University in Washington, D.C. He's no longer teaching Zulu now. He's hired someone else. but we've had him on here, and he loves what we do, and he says there's so much of his work that's been inspired by the work that we do. So our work really is already reaching internet, and invited. He's already invited me also to their conference in America. So what I want to say is that we are reaching the international community. So, because the good thing about being on social media is that anyone can see us, right? And see what we're doing and be inspired by what we do. So it's really exciting to hear that that our new chair, has those intentions, because we weren't aiming for global domination. It's just that our work attracted people from far and from here and more. So yeah, and one of the biggest struggles, I think, is the membership. So I'm looking forward to the changes that you're advocating for, and how we can explore them. And I know that you're involved in international conferences yourself, especially with language and the judiciary. Forensic linguistics, which is a field that's not very well known, but extremely necessary in this country. So I don't know if there's anything you want to say about any of those things, or if you want to say something completely new that I'm not talking about.
Yes, no, look, I think I need to keep my
And
lips a bit
voting.
sealed, yes, for the moment.
Yes,
with regards to
yes. I
how we
mustn't
grow our
let you
membership.
spill all the beans.
Yeah, I can't be spilling all the beans right now. I can confirm that we've had our first steering committee, so our board meeting in a sense, and we're going to be taking direction, obviously, from other colleagues based on proposals that have been put forward. But what I can say at this stage, Siki, is that we're looking to expand ILAF into the hundreds in terms of membership. And many watching this might think, oh, that's still quite small. But when you look as how we've grown as an organization, with just, I think, about 10 or 20 of us from that very first meeting and start, when we conceived the idea of ILAF with Dr. Conrad Steenkamp and Professor Monwabisi Kgalagala many years ago, it's grown so far. But we want to go beyond that now. And yes, I know I'm holding back and I don't want to give you specifics, but there are big plans that we want to be implementing in expanding our membership base. But what I can say is that colleagues nationally and internationally should be looking out for a very big event coming very soon that ILAF is planning to host. Don't ask me the date, Siki. Don't ask me when exactly, but it's coming. And I think this event, I believe truly will be the turning point in terms of how we grow ILAF's membership base, and how we not reimagine, I don't want to use that word, but how we expand our knowledge base as an organization and reach the broader communities.
Do you want to say anything about what's happening with the debates? Because I know you said something to me yesterday, and I posted it regarding what we've been watching in the news, and even yeah.
Yeah, look, that's another thing, ILAF and the work again that you have been doing from a communications perspective is picking up on what is happening with our Indigenous languages in public spaces or in high status domains. And we know a major talking point is the elections and politics at the moment. And we know that language can never be divorced from politics, because language policy, in a sense, is politicking, if you will. But for me, it's been very concerning that the political debates that we currently having, Siki, are happening in English. And, when I look at the demographics that are sitting in these various debates and the level of English, the use of English, and I think, but would it not be better if you were able just to express yourself in your mother tongue? And it concerns me that the various hosts, some hosts, let me not be biased, but some hosts are not encouraging the participants to use their mother tongue. And for me, democracy should work in a language that you understand best, that you use best. There are various debates that have currently been held at various universities, and I think it's a fantastic thing. But again, it's very sad to see that students and fellow citizens come to these debates and they use English. For me, that's disheartening because you're not using your mother tongue in a public space. And that speaks really against what we at ILAF are trying to do. We are trying to promote the use of the indigenous languages in the public spaces. And what better opportunity for the political parties really to tap into language usage in campaigning and the posters and so forth. I don't know, based on where you are in the Eastern Cape, Siki, if you've seen a poster in isiXhosa. I haven't here in Makanda. I don't know why, but every single poster from
That's
various
interesting.
political parties are in English. Now, I don't know who from the political parties will be listening to this conversation, but it will be interesting to hear from them. Where are the posters in languages other than English? I think Vryheids Front has a couple of posters in Afrikaans that I've seen around in Makanda. But other than that, I don't see anything else in any of the indigenous languages. And it's upsetting and it's worrying. Which type of voter are you trying to reach? It's a question. I don't know.
Exactly. If they're not speaking, and the debates are really, really important because they're supposed to be speaking to the people and they're supposed to use the people's language. And the people who are most affected are the ones who don't feel included in English.
Definitely.
And hopefully one day we'll have a conversation with these politicians and ask them where are indigenous languages in their conversations? Who are they talking to? And are they expecting votes? And maybe that's why the voter turnout isn't high enough. Maybe people aren't speaking to them in their language, yeah.
It would also
Any
be
last words
interesting.
before we land this conversation?
I mean, now and my go-to obviously is the judiciary and the legal system and what's happening there. And I think it's going to be interesting just to see what happens in terms of language from that perspective, given the changes coming in the judiciary. I also am very eagerly looking forward to hearing what the JSC's views are in terms of the language question, with the interview coming up with the...
Did you say the JSC?
Yes, the JSC, the Judicial Service Commission. Judicial Service
Do you
Commission.
know what? I thought you meant I thought you meant that financial
No, not the JSE, the JSC.
System.
The JSC. Judicial Service Commission.
JSC.
It's going to be very
They
interesting.
also need to communicate in indigenous languages.
No, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there in terms of the interview coming with the Deputy Chief Justice when she gets interviewed for the Chief Justice position, and whether the language question will be discussed. And I think that's going to be a hot potato. It's always a hot potato, but I think it's going to be important as well for the direction of the legal system and the judiciary specifically. So that's also a talking point that ILAF will be watching, certainly from my side, to see what's happening with our indigenous languages, and not only in the political arena but also in the legal system. And these are two key aspects that we need to be watching very closely, not only as members of ILAF but as activists of the indigenous languages and promoters of our languages.
Thank you so much for your time and congratulations, and thank you for all the work that you did as Vice Chair and your passion for forensic linguistics, a field I never heard of, but now I realize, my goodness, why isn't this the biggest thing in the country? So thank you for the work that you do there. It's really, really critical for justice, if there is to be justice at all, So I want to say thank you, and I look forward to having a more in-depth conversation on this subject again, forensic linguistics, because there's so much to discuss. Something new is always coming up, as I posted something yesterday and tagged you, because once again it highlights the importance of Indigenous languages and what it means when you exclude Indigenous languages, that it also exclude certain evidence and it changes so many things. So I just want to say thank you. Next time, I'm definitely looking forward to nitpicking some issues that we've seen, that you can enlighten us and see how we can go forward. And I really hope that this position will also solidify your own work in the forensic linguistics, and that it will give us new strides forward that you can take the country forward really in this, because there aren't champions for this. You're the champion. So thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Siki. Thanks.